We're not. Yes, we are. I don't know. I guess we are. Who knows?
Are we?
I don't know. Just start.
What I think
It's Schrodinger's recording. We're simultaneously recording and not recording at the same time.
On the off chance that we're recording.
What I love most about this podcast is that now that I've seen it right before you record is how absolutely uptight it is about 10 minutes before you start recording, or just absolutely like rigid, and then you manufacture a number of crises to like chill out the guest. You just manufacture it like it was you almost got me. You almost got me.
Yeah.
Look,
we hear that a
episode
lot.
50, and we're always really rigid beforehand. And then it just sort of flops.
So, Mike, just for clarity, you're tenured, right? You can't get fired by coming on this.
I am tenured, but I am tenured in an American university in 2026. So in the state of Ohio. So
are you a documented worker?
Oh God.
I am so extra and uber documented.
Excellent.
Yes, tenured.
I've got my papers right here, actually.
Looks like an Australian passport, Ron.
I'm working on it.
I already got denied a visa in Australia, so I think I'm on some sort of list.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you get for putting me down as a reference.
One list? You're only on one list? I would have thought a few, like
the list.
One in Australia.
Yeah.
Only one in Australia.
Globally hated. I gotta tell you, man, the semis behind me are really I don't know if you can hear it, but I can't hear anything other than 18 Wheels of Glory over and over.
I can't hear it.
So punk.
Well, that's good. You know,
so punk, man.
There's a lot of stories, or at least like some references to what happens at truck stops, and I'm just sat here at I'm legitimately at a picnic table in a dog park at a truck stop, boys. So
this is professionalism.
With
This is the level our listeners have come to expect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's the least we could do for Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Look,
I came in all the pre-work, all the forms I had to fill out.
Yeah,
I was like, my gosh,
it's a lot.
I was getting ready for like a candidacy exam or something. Like, and then you manufacture all of this, this crazy stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
It takes a lot to make it look unprofessional.
Yeah. And man, and you three are trying. I mean, your best.
Yes,
we're doing our damn best.
Your best.
Yeah. What's going on, boys? What's new? What's exciting? What's interesting? Dave, you got a tattoo.
I did. I got my tattoo colored in. So yeah,
it counts. It counts.
It counts. It counts.
Yeah, I was reading I was going through the backlog, and y'all got on with Conklin. You're like, not a single new tattoo amongst the three of you. Not
a day later, Mike.
One.
This is how it rolls, Mike. When you're working with two, like slackers.
Amateurs.
I had to go straight out of that recording. 2 days later, sit and go. At least someone's got to commit to episode 50, right? Like someone has to lock in and commit, and I can't rely on those two.
Yeah. No, you can't.
No.
You can't hear the fucking Jake break behind me.
No.
Is that what you call him?
Yeah.
All these semis behind you.
Look, episode 50. Mike Rayo is here.
Mike Rayo, the Michael Rayo, professor at the Ohio State University.
That's what
esteemed. I'm gonna say esteemed academic and overall
not too
good-looking guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Not to bring up my PhD prematurely, but my PhD supervisor.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron, did you get your PhD?
Yeah.
You guys sent me a piece of paper, and I'm not sending it back. It may have been a mistake. It has like some guy named Joe's name on it. I don't care. I changed my name. It's fine.
We're good. We're good.
Mike, were you his supervisor? Because Dave Woods did pretty much all the talking at the defense.
I
think Dave thought it was his defense.
Now you're trying to get
Dave
him fired.
defended it
Now
for
you're
him.
really.
So for the folks that saw this on YouTube, you got to see my reaction. For the folks who are listening to the podcast, no comment.
What are you doing, man? What's going on, Mike?
What are you up to, Michael?
Just there's a lot of stuff going on. It is a crazy time to be in safety, and I don't. The thing with me is, it's kind of strange that you chose me for the 50th episode because I am the antithesis of punk rock, although I dig it. It's just not like that's not my vibe. Like I can't even try to fake that. And I'm kind of a safety person. Like I try to help safety people. In fact, I was trying to figure out the right metaphor, and it's almost like
Good
if
luck.
safety. What's that?
I think it's kind of like if you're a vegetarian, but you're happy to cook the barbecue for meat eating folk.
That is a metaphor, David.
That's a metaphor.
I think it's more like if the safety folks out there are like if they're like 007, if they are all the front line of safety,
Yeah,
I'm like their Q. I think that's as good as I can do. As I'm trying to arm everybody. I'm trying to help everybody. I'm trying to support everybody. Not everybody appreciates that support, and that's okay. But that's probably about as good. Ben
Barely pissed off.
Listen, I'm here. The video is gone. I'm gonna fuck up this entire episode.
It's okay. You can go, man. It's cool. I got this.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
But
all right, Q.
But what we're trying to do is really, and this is actually really focused recently through Miriam Balkan's work in her dissertation, is really just trying to collect what's working, trying to collect what's not working, trying to collect the barriers and facilitators to work through a more we've been calling it modern safety. Maybe you call it balanced safety. I'm not exactly sure what the right message is to get it out, but something that includes. So this is what we're actually doing is one, we're trying to get away from the safety label wars.
I think safety definitely needs much more terminology.
Now, but here's the problem. You still have to use words.
Yeah.
And so what we've been talking about is that safety, and this is not new. This part's not new. In fact, none of this is new. That safety and performance you have to see them together. That's what I believe is that everything is about and so can we think about aspects of our organization that are thinking about or times where our organization is thinking about reducing harm. So connected with like incident-based safety. There are other parts of the organization or other times in which our organization is thinking about sustaining performance. So that's like capability-based safety or capability-based systems engineering. And then there's a third piece, which is about preserving is probably the best word, adaptive capacity. So adaptation-based safety, adaptation-based systems engineering. And so we've been first trying to help safety organizations encourage them to see through all those different perspectives, but then reach out a little bit further to start thinking about because there are other parts of the organization that do parts of that as well. So the safety folks, right adjacent to there is the HRO folks, which maybe they're the same, maybe they're different. But then you get into Lean Six Sigma, and then you get into broad-based process engineering and operational excellence and systems engineering, like the stuff that's in my department, in an industrial and systems engineering department. So all of those folks are arguably working towards the same goal, but certainly using different tools, thinking about it a different way. So and a lot of times getting in each other's way. And certainly, there's turf battles and all this business. So we haven't fixed the turf battle part, not by a long shot, but starting to think about what helps facilitate that progression of perspective. And oh, wait, by the way, haven't mentioned adaptation based at all. And there are very few organizations around the world that have carved out a measurable, let's not even talk about meaningful, but a measurable portion of their budget, energies, etc., towards, oh, what even is my adaptive capacity? If things go sideways, if things go outside of my current operating or engineering envelope, what's that going to look like? What could I do? How far could I go? How far can my organization stretch? So there's some retrospective studies here and there, and some of the big ones. We were connected with the Formosa Fun Coast fire explosion accident response, and I'm proud to know the folks that worked on that. That's Richard Cook, Dave Woods, Xu Wen Chuang, a couple other folks that help with that. And I think it's a really interesting look at what adaptation looked like. But to my knowledge, that hasn't even been systematized back into that system. And so I've been helping organizations not just with a project where I come in and I was a consultant in the past, I'll be a consultant now, I'm a consultant in the future as well, part of my gig, but not thinking about it like as a consultant, but how do all these things work together, all these different groups work together to build capability in the organization. So now we're trying to figure out what to call that. We're trying to think about, and we're doing it in healthcare first. So we've been thinking about, we've been talking internally that something like operational health management. I don't know if I love that title, but it's the idea that we're thinking about, again, I do a lot of work in healthcare. So it's about how healthy is your organization. Meaning there are some things you do like with a patient, with a person, when they're going into their visits, when they're in encounters with the healthcare environment industry. There are some times where we got to reduce harm. You're going to do some things to reduce harm. You're going to do some things to increase capability, increase cardiac capability, increase cardiopulmonary capability. And there are going to be some things, and again, we're not, and our healthcare system, at least in the United States, isn't super good at this, and I'm probably going to get tomatoes thrown at me for this.
Wait a minute, what?
You guys have a healthcare system?
Always the system, Dave.
I've had this conversation this week is, you've got healthcare if you can afford it.
Yeah. So, but how do we help people adapt outside of it? And again, as individual patients or as a collection of people, what does that adaptation look like? Because we need to be able to do that. I've even been looking at, it's amazing to me that in the NBA right now, the spate of Achilles injuries and ACL injuries, coming seemingly out of nowhere. Like
it's only in the north though. It's only Boston and Indiana, and that's fine in the south. So it's good.
Yeah,
I think it's the weather.
Well, we got some of that over here in Golden State, my friend.
Yeah, but that's because all your players are. That's because all your players are 40. It's like it's age and cold. That's the problem.
Age and cold. Well, Proven's got
no Achilles problems on the Thunder.
Proven's got it. So just move all the NBA teams south of the Mason-Dixon line. We're all set. We're all straight. Just move everybody. So that's what we've been thinking about is how to start different organizations on that journey, fully understanding that we're a research institution. We can't help like a consultancy would help. So we're just trying to we're trying to help where we can, and again try to build capacity and internally help build their organization up, because that's what we can do as a university. So that's been the big push for us.
Ben's happy to go and take their money and do the consulting stuff.
And Dave's happy to go in and steal the client afterwards.
That's right.
I'll come in behind Ben and fix what he breaks.
And Ron is happy to just shine up his halo. Just polish that halo, and
Yeah, I'm fine. Stay out of it. Stay out of it.
Mike, I have a question. Do you have any new tattoos?
I have. Again, I am anti-punk, man. Like I have no tattoos. I have no new tattoos.
Right.
Or old ones.
Yeah.
Or old ones. Yet the problem is I change my mind like every 45 minutes. So no matter what I put on my body, I would immediately like, nope, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Nope, that's got to go.
So who would have thought?
I think it'd be fine. You rip the Band-Aid off or put it on. I don't know what the right thing is.
I don't know. I think, man, who would have thought episode 50 we'd turn into a Scar podcast?
Ska rock safety, is that
rock
the thing?
safety.
Mike, you do have to describe what's behind you, though, for people maybe who aren't seeing this.
Oh, so yeah, so I am in the dungeon here, and interestingly, so you'll see, like, I've got sheet music back behind me, I've got a drum set back there. I'm terrible on the drums. That's my son's drum set, and I bang on it sometimes. I got a keyboard over on my left, but the interesting thing is like those really aren't my instruments. And again, not punk, So my instrument I'm trying to get back to is a trumpet. That's carefully hidden off camera.
There you go.
Yeah, El Jefe.
This is El Jefe.
El Jefe.
And
he's got a new name.
And so, and the guitar again is very acoustic, although it is electrified. I can plug it into an amp, but so I wish I could say like, oh yeah, man, I'm just down here jamming all the time. I'm not nearly as much as I want to be. Oh, and wow, the didgeridoo, you're just gonna have to believe me on this one. The didgeridoo is like back behind my guitar case.
Fuck.
So
can you play that thing? Can you play that thing?
I can make a noise. That's about it.
Can you make a noise longer than 30 or 40 seconds though? Have you got the nose breathing going?
I can circular breathe in the trumpet. I can't circular breathe in the didge yet.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right.
Ben might find a few truck drivers who can circular breathe.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I was trying to just avoid it, and Dave got it.
He sure did get it. So like I don't know, maybe
wait a minute, Ron. We skipped the whole who's behind you kind of thing, and I just want to make sure we get especially Dave.
Oh yeah.
Which I know especially Dave.
Because it's a sad story.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's episode 50, so it had to be a NOFX background band that inspired it all. Yeah, I guess not really a band anymore. And I don't know if it's definitely not public knowledge, and our 9 listeners wouldn't know, but we're not super convinced that Ron's going to stay committed to the Punk Rock Safety podcast. So I thought it might be a bit like, Ron kind of just breaking off from the band. I don't know if he sent you some kind of if he's suing your band for, I don't know, making too much money in the merch store and not giving him any money.
Losing too much money.
Not dividing the losses with Ron.
I just figured you guys were in some
like El Jefe and just join the Aquabats.
Yes.
That's a Ron.
Jesus.
So yeah, that's what I sort of thought. This is just a little bit of a guilt trip for Ron.
If there's anything we need, it's guilting Ron.
Yeah.
Ron, who's behind you, man?
It's low hanging fruit. Comeback Kid.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's
they did a pretty good show out in LA.
They put on a great show.
Is that your way, Ron?
They're missing
you are going to come back for episode 51 or what?
Well, it's coming around full circle, really, actually, because number 1, I talked about Comeback Kid. Yeah, maybe you should pay attention once in a while, Dave.
Ron's done some research.
He remembers the first episode and
I
nothing
remember that.
after that.
No, I know there were some episodes and people showed up, and that's what I got. And I didn't come to all of them. I know that too.
That's true.
What about you, Ben? Besides truck drivers, what do you got going on behind you?
Yeah, man. Fuck. I tried to look at where I'm in South Carolina at a truck stop in the dog park at a picnic table. And behind me is Dick Move. It's an Auckland band, so I guess Dick, they'd probably say Dick Move.
Dick, yeah. Dick Move. Yeah.
Dick Move. Cool band. Cool people. I don't know. Look it up.
Yeah.
Dick Move.
Yeah.
At Auckland.
What's going on in South Carolina?
Nothing other than, I'm driving from North Carolina to Savannah, Georgia at the moment. So cool. Hanging out with some folks doing heavy civil, building bridges, as it were.
So
Sounds a bit like a
I think
client
that's
you
a
might have
good
stolen.
metaphor for
That
like.
sounds like a client you might have stolen.
Get the fuck out of here. Stolen my
heavy civils, southeast.
Yeah.
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 That sounds like a
Oh.
good metaphor for what Mike was talking about.
Yeah.
And you got any clients up in Boston?
Yeah. Do you want me
All right.
to introduce you?
Shoot their details over. I'm going to be there next week.
I'll make the intro.
Thank you.
Just a handoff.
And Dallas
Not
and
a
Houston,
handy.
Dallas and
Handoff.
Houston as well, just so I can just do the full tour.
Yeah, done. Dallas, done. You've got it. I don't have anything in Houston. I don't like going there, but we're gonna have a little fun without Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I won't make it.
And then fun. Well, you're gonna be there, aren't you, Ron? Later.
I'm not coming in until that evening. So I don't know if Dave
Sunday.
will be around still.
Sunday.
No, Monday.
Yeah, I'll catch you Monday or Tuesday.
See?
Yeah.
Fun without Ron, fun without Ben.
Yeah.
I got to
That's the
come
whole
and
thing.
meet my new management team. There's this new data center company that they want to remove their current safety director, and yeah.
Good.
Gotta go for a
come
handover.
around to the fact that they don't even need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of safety and bridge building, let's go back to the important things that Mike said.
Yeah, like the really smart things.
Yeah, I was just trying to give everybody a little breather to kind of take that all in, you know?
So
sorry,
Ron.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, or ask, you mentioned, Mike, the safety label wars. Like, obviously you're talking about, the whole, what is the right way to do safety? Do you think that that's productive? Which I think is an interesting question for an academic, because like precision tends to be important in academia and whatnot, but like from a practical perspective, the whole safety 1, safety 2, HRO, resilience engineering, BBS, I don't know, what other safeties are there? Is that productive from your perspective? If yes, when is it productive or not?
Well, academic or no, I don't. I think everybody meant to be productive. Honestly, I mean, every single one of those groups, I think, meant to be productive, and I think once the label took off, it got in the way, and it was the label that was attacked, and I think. But I think there's something substantive about each of the each of the different, uprisings, if you will. But I think it goes down to something bigger. A couple things that are bigger. One, and I was trying to distill that like what are the differences in perspectives here, and how does that how do all of them help the organization? Dave, I quote your work all the time about guided adaptability and standardization. I imagine he does. About guided adaptability and standardization, and how those have to work together. They're not, and I think there's once the label's there, just really easy to attack. In fact, I was just at the REA Resilience Engineering Association symposium, and it went through the room really fast, and then I don't know where it went after that, but there was this kind of sentiment that was said on the stage that it almost implied that the folks that consider themselves like complexity scientists, or thinking about safety too or safety differently, that are embracing complexity, it's almost like they're addicted. This isn't quite right, but there was almost like, oh no, these folks are, no, you're all are addicted to complexity. Like, you have to have it. You see it everywhere, and and not everything is, not everything has to be, 4-alarm fire. And I think that, and then I saw I was like, wait a second, this person's just gonna get pilloried, right? Because that's obviously not. And I'm looking around, and people are like nodding their heads. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was in the room that I thought I was in, which is okay. We learned some things in the room that day, and but I know most of those folks, and that's not the vibe that I get when we talk. That's not the vibe I now get when I read their stuff. That's not the vibe I get when I hear them talk. It's just that the folks that are trying to get us to focus more on that edge of performance, that edge, when uncertainty is starting to really challenge the edges of our capabilities, that's almost always underrepresented. We find that when, and we'd say that almost by definition, that, when we have these brittle failures, our antidote in very vague terms is, well, probably more, somewhere more effort, more energies, not all your energies, but more energies really should have been rededicated over there, at least dynamically, to this other thing that, now it's super clear exactly what it would have helped. We know it wouldn't have been super clear 2 months ago or 3 years ago or 10 years ago, but some process to be monitoring, some of the, we know that there are some signatures of where there's, pick your metaphor, a crack in the armor, or, a deformation of our, if we're using the stress strain analogy, like we see the strain. And every time we've gone and investigated an accident, not one handful, 2, 3 handfuls of the frontline workers that are like, yeah, this is stuff like this was happening last week as well. We're always operating in a degraded state. So like, what are the degraded states that we really should, before there's this big thing, should be starting to look at? And I think that's one of the $1 million questions. I think the second, I don't know if it's a $1 million question, or it's the difference in perspectives, is, can we solve these things with more rules? Can we solve these things up at the executive level? Can we solve these things a priori? Can we solve 100% of them? Can we just tell the system what to do? And if we're just rigid enough, if we're just rigorous enough, then everything's going to fall out? Or do we have to cede some authority? Do we have to cede some control to, out, all the way to the front line? And if we have to do that, that means that we have to think about their capabilities differently as well. And I know that's a scary, scary thought to a lot of different, managers and administrators. But what we've seen is that you will be slow in responding if you're not responding as a full community. But that means you have to be thinking about it differently. So, and maybe, and I do think that's a big part of the safety differently. So if we're dissecting all the way down, and that's one of the hallmarks of that, is that it's a together thing.
Yeah.
It's not a centralized command and control thing. But none of those are absolutes either. So Ron, sorry, man. Let me go back to my real short answer. No. The labels are not productive.
Like,
the answer was no.
Yeah, just thinking about that, because I'd love to bring sort of like a technology discussion into this as well, because it came up this week with some folk, because sort of talking about socio-technical systems and about, the adaptability of the human component and and then we're talking about the reliability of the technical component, because I think, in my very oversimplified view of the world, like you mentioned, all different functions that are striving to manage performance in a certain way. And some ways of thinking about that performance is, how do I make the system more adaptable? And another way of thinking about that is, how do I make the system more predictable and reliable, right? And so when we think about socio-technical systems, we always sort of go, well, the technology side of the system is doing kind of like what it's designed to do. It lacks the sense-making capability and the context and that, but it will be relatively predictable about how we've designed what it does. The people sort of have to make up for that with the adaptability component. And now I was sort of explaining something. Now we've got sort of AI sandwiched in the middle, which is actually not reliable and not adaptable in from a context point. Well, it's not like
really bad at lots.
So it's actually it's like it's not a sort of a predictable technology, but it's not an adaptable sense-making human either. And so I'm sort of I know you're sort of dabbling in this space. It was just interesting to me as we started talking about socio-technical systems, and now we've got this kind of like almost this third something in the middle of our human machine interface that seems, because we've had software for a long time, but now we've got kind of like adaptive software, which is, I just really keen to hear.
Tells me I'm cool.
Sorry.
It tells me I'm cool, though.
Yeah, it
does. Tell you you're cool.
It's a people pleaser.
It is.
Yeah.
It takes an entire data center to do that, though.
Yeah.
Just
Thank
churning,
you.
churning.
That's about Ron just generating demand.
So
So yeah,
Dave, I think that that idea that AI is kind of stuck in the middle. I think that's a really good way to think about it. And I the what I think is the most concerning, what I'm most concerned about is we most people that I talk to, think that when that result comes to them, whether that's large language model and generative, more generative work, or it's more of what, our older AI, which is still mostly inductive, not much more predictable, but still not deterministic. But all these models are they're this kind of like fuzzy thing in the middle that nobody understands. So when you get this thing that comes through, you make up this model of how that would have worked. Everybody does it, and they're like, oh yeah, it did this thing, and it obviously had this kind of set of rules, and it came up with this thing. It's like, no, that's not how it did it at all. It went into this fuzzy, really complicated mess of computation, and out came something. And so it has an engineering envelope as well, but it's not like a dome. It's not smooth. It's like it could be anything at any time, and it could fail in any way at any time. It's failing less often now, and it will probably continue to fail less often, but it's doing in very unpredictable ways, and it's increasing everything in complexity as well. And that's not the first time that's happened. And in other places, what we've seen is it's not if it's not your first stage automation failing that leads to the catastrophic failures. It's your second stage automation that's failing. So the more technologies we put in the middle, because what you're trying to troubleshoot that technology, that did it fail, or did the first stage fail, did the third stage fail? Like, it's to try to deal with that in a consequential industry, especially in high time pressure. It's just not going to happen. So that's so I think your intuition is right. It's like it does tend to do the normal easy things. It looks like it does it pretty well. Um, it, it still can do really horrific things even in the normal things, which maybe the developers will get that straightened out, maybe they won't. But for really high consequential things, you just don't know. And there's been really no efforts in creating more transparent, more observable versions of these. And honestly, one of my professional community's human factors, we still get bent out of shape about, should we think about it as a tool? Should we think about it as a teammate? Should I think about it as trust? Should I think about it as observability? And if you notice, all of those things were nouns. So I'm going to take a page from Dave Woods's book and say, as you're thinking about this stuff in nouns, you've already kind of lost.
Yeah.
So what we've been thinking about is, what are functions, what are activities that have to happen in any multi-stage, multi-actor system. And so again, I'm not sure if I love our labels again in this one, but we're thinking about assessment and fitness assessment. So is my counterpart, and that could be the three of y'all or a bunch of robots or any combination. And this is actually yeah
Yeah.
we
This is starting to sound a lot like joint cognitive activity. So Ron's like starting to salivate now.
He's so excited.
I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up. But this is how we see modern emergency departments work in the hospital, is that there are a bunch of folks with roles. Those roles are fluid. There's an on paper authority structure that's also fluid, and each person has agency within there, has authority, and I'm sorry, initiative within there to take a little bit more, to take a little bit less, but they're taking a ton of multisensory cues and a bunch of information to figure out what to do, and how each of my counterparts, how fit are they, how much coverage do they have in that activity, how fit is the resident physician, how fit is the pharmacist. Not in general, we know that they're all really fit in general, but this patient, this set of drugs, this situation, this car accident right now, this particular recompounding because everything has gone sideways for the last 4 hours. How fit are they right now? And is it time for me to help? And with AI, most of the time, those signals are gone. They were never designed in. So it's take it or leave it.
Mm.
And that's not a good architecture. So that's what I'm the most concerned about there, and that's what we've been beating the drum on that as loud as we can, and we're getting some traction in some places.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like that you and I have talked about this, that conversation you just described, I've had with a lot of people who are developing AI, both just in, as like in general in their organization, but also like to sell it in safety spaces. And precisely zero of them are thinking along those lines. I've yet to come across one that is thinking along those lines, unfortunately. But I get it. One of the things that strikes me in this whole conversation, though, is in kind of circling back to the idea of labels, and I think this will connect to the technological piece of it, is like, so you have the incident based, capability based, adaptive capacity based, or whatever label you're applying to it.
Ron, I don't like labels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in labels. But so you have these labels, but I imagine like
Ron's for they, them, I'm for you.
there's there's utility in like defining, okay, this is like what incident based kind of looks like. This is what capability based kind of looks like. And so when you say no, I don't think the label words are valuable. From my side, and I believe this myself. I don't believe that we're necessarily saying it doesn't, like, we don't want labels in these things. We don't want to label what we're doing. No, I think there's value in labels, and there's value in like understanding, okay, here's kind of the direction I'm heading. What I think is valuable is or what I think is not valuable, I'll start there, is saying there's only one right way. There's only one that's best and everything else is shit. Uh, I think it's valuable to say, no, here's multiple things that we could do. Here's when they really work well. Here's when they might have some blind spots or not be as useful to us. And, and then that gives us a menu of options.
We could ask the
which
AI to tell us what to use when.
We probably should. We probably should.
What is the best language to use to describe this?
Well, but so Ron, I agree with you. But I think it's I'll go a different way. It's like it's in the preface of the Safety 1, Safety 2 book that they said exactly what you just said. Exactly what you just said. In fact, if I had a critique for the earlier stuff, I know New Look and New View the most, but I think there's certainly a tinge of this in Safety Differently. It's that the perception, and I think the perception is well earned. I'll probably get yelled at for saying that when some folks hear this podcast. It was scorched. It was a little bit of scorched earth in there, and I don't begrudge the folks that did it. But there was like, new look. Well, what's better than old? New. What's better than old? New. Old is stupid.
But
new is new.
It's a bit about superficial understanding, because I think Safety Differently, definitely, and that's just mainly Sydney's writing style, right? Where it just likes to be deliberately provocative. And then Eric, I think, was more of a feature of the fact that there was two labels, Safety 1 and Safety 2, right? And even in it sort of talks about kind of like it's an additional perspective, it's a broader perspective. But I just think, I mean, the labels are necessary, but need to be carefully. Like, we put a book out that says Safety Differently or Safety 1 and Safety 2. Like, that's different to putting a book out that says high reliability organizations, right?
Yeah. Well, but I think it's really important that, like, what we're saying is so critical, because I've seen a lot of people push back against that scorched earth, which is such a good point. And they say, oh, it's just doing good safety. And actually, I don't think that's actually the right reaction. I think the right reaction is to understand, okay, what are these different camps saying? And when is what they're saying very, very valid and applicable, and when is it not necessarily going to be that useful? Because again, like, if we just say no, it's just being a good, competent safety professional, I don't know, it just feels very dismissive of all of this work and scholarship and like really well-intentioned stuff that could be really helpful to us, but also could let us down if we're not really thoughtful about it. I don't know.
So my response on is this good? This is just good safety? It's like, maybe, but look at the amount of support there is. Look at the amount of investment there is. Look at the amount of consulting dollars spent on incident-based safety. So if you're doing those other things, you're doing it without support. You're doing it on your own. You're doing it without a net. And so Ohio State and my lab, Cecil, we're trying to build out the support. And I think that's that's how I look at it. The other thing is, again, once there was safety 1, what's better than 1? 2, what's better than 2? 3. And I didn't make that
Have you
up.
seen?
Oh yes, yeah, Dave. I don't want to talk about it.
Have you had an email from Eric recently? Have you had an email from Eric recently?
No, but I know about the incremental safety stuff as well.
Oh no,
yeah.
Eric likes to put little quotes underneath his email signature at the bottom, and there's a specific quote on all his emails about safety 3 that is not flattering.
I don't want to give it a bunch of airtime, honestly. I think I think that was a net productive publication. That's all I'll say. That's net negative. I don't see the point of it. But safety 3, if it wasn't that author putting out something on safety 3, it would have been somebody else. And then it would have been safety 4. And what's better than safety 4? Safety 5. And so
I think we've already trademarked
iPhone 17. Let's
well, yeah, I've got 6 through 20. I've got the URLs for all of those. So I'm really hoping. I'm really hoping.
Yeah. I got this trademark, Mike, so I need an address to send a letter to.
You're breaking up, Dave. Sorry.
Okay.
So our shot at this is trying to be a little bit more descriptive, and I think it would be very difficult, although we'll see what people do, to say, oh, you're saying that capability is better than harm reduction. I'm like, no, they're just words, and they're just perspectives. Is that that not many folks are focused on adaptive capacity. So they see capability, and I think you could look with a sober eye at safety 2 with what's written. You could look at it and say, oh, the pinnacle here is capability, because I can go back and see how many words were about adaptation. Obviously, Eric and Bob Weers and obviously they firmly believe in adaptation, but what I think is taken off in safety 2 is going to just figure out what goes right, and that's a good mnemonic. But again, I think that what's missing there, and in the majority of systems engineering, is that adaptation piece.
But I don't think safety 2 talked very much about adaptive capacity at all. And the other thing that I talked very early on with Eric was about how is looking at what goes right any different from categorizing something as wrong? Like, what's right? And that's when we had this long conversation about, and I used the Macondo example, like the Deepwater Horizon Transocean rig. The rig before the Macondo well drilled a deeper, more complex, on time, on budget, injury-free well. So is that success? Should I go and learn from what that rig's doing? And so that's when we had this conversation about it needs to be about normal work. But safety 2 is really only ever about don't wait for incidents, understand your business, right?
Right.
With a control system loop around, the resilient potentials about learn, monitor, anticipate, respond. But it was really only graceful extensibility that really lent in heavily to adaptive capacity. And it was the only one that talked about goal conflict and a whole bunch of other things as well.
Could not agree more. And so that's where.
Did anything happen here, guys? I've only just been able to reconnect and pay any attention to anything. Feel like maybe the podcast got better with me just sort of disconnecting throughout. I do have one question though for you, Mike, while I have some truck stop signal here, which is for our 9 users or 9 listeners, excuse me. We've said a lot of times in this, and I'm just going to point out again that it's the 50th episode. We've talked a lot about adaptive capacity and the importance of that, the importance of maybe even being able to evaluate it in an organization. Our 9 listeners, they're smart people, but can we sort of recap what that means? Like, as a functional thing in an organization, what does that look like or mean? Or how would you describe it? As Ron says, we don't need safety people, but let's say a safety person was trying to explain it to someone who had never heard of this before. What are we talking about?
So I think there are two big pieces. One, and the resilience engineering community is I think, we're still wrapping our heads around this as well. This first thing is it's really hard to measure in day to day measure adaptation. So a lot of us have been talking about adaptive capacity. So what are the qualities of the system that should be able to come together so that you can adapt? And there are things like, and theory of graceful sensibility basically lays them out one after another. Some of them have to do with the ability to reach out and recruit and help across boundaries. And again, there's a bunch of them, lots of proto theorems there. But I think it gets to adaptation as well. And I think adaptation has multiple flavors, and I think about it as, does your organization have the ability to do something different than some type of norm, some type of textbook? And some of them are very, you'd think they're pretty mundane. So maybe the most mundane maybe are workarounds. So there's something in your policies and procedures, and this set of workers, they don't do this, they do that, but they do that just about every time. And we typically call that a chronic adaptation, a workaround. And then we can start thinking about, well, what's, our very tentative theory is that as the uncertainty gets ratcheted up, as the complexity gets ratcheted up, as the challenge coming in gets ratcheted up, the system is likely going to have to adapt more rapidly and with a higher magnitude and more aggressively, I guess. I don't know, bigger adaptations in faster timeframes than without that stuff ratcheting up. So it maybe is that you not only have to abandon a protocol or a procedure, but you have to abandon what your trainees do, even their set of normal adaptations, and that doesn't work anymore. Or maybe I have to go farther than that. I'm a seasoned vet and I've got this portfolio of things that I do in all these situations, and I don't pull them out that often, but I still have them, and they're still pretty much like, I know when this thing happens, I do this set of things and it tends to work even though it's outside of the norm. But there's sometimes that's not going to work either. So how far can I go? How much can I contort? How much can I stretch? How far can I stretch? All of that gets into adaptation. And again, we need to know, what's my capacity to adapt. So what we've been looking at is how does the organization tend to adapt to the smaller things, and can we get information about adaptations to the smaller things, to the smaller perturbations, that'll give us some idea of. So by the way, and this, I got yelled at about this on stage, and I'm honing this. There's this idea that resilient performance is sustained performance in the face of increasing challenge.
No,
but I didn't put adaptation in there. So if I add in there, it's also this idea that I have to adapt, I have to sacrifice something. I have to sacrifice compliance with a rule. I have to sacrifice a goal that I thought was really important 5 minutes ago. And we use sacrifice. Maybe it's relax, maybe it's deprioritize, but that's kind of a painful decision. So what am I able to relax? And then what am I able to extend? All of that kind of gets into this bigger idea of adaptation. So I don't know if that reaches the 9 listeners. I hope it does, but does that help?
No, I have some confidence that it will. It's a smart group. Well, not smart enough to not listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
but
I think the way that I think about it, like, I think the working definition I sort of use for resilience, we use this in the Atomic Energy Authority publication, is like the ability of a system to maintain its intended functioning in both foreseen and unforeseen situations, right? So you've got to understand what the system's there to do. Obviously not to hurt people, but also deliver some sort of productive purpose as well. And then the question around these unforeseen circumstances sort of leans into what are these kind of like anomalies or contexts that might arise. I think Dave sort of always talked about, what we're talking about here is a boundary condition, right? Like you're talking about, Mike, with the stretching and the straining. Like, so the foreseen operations is protocol and experience, and all these things can just resilience doesn't really matter, I don't think, too much in those sorts of situations. But then, like I think in healthcare where you work, Mike, like surge events are kind of really interesting, kind of like beyond capacity type events, like seeing how protocol ends up out the window and people take different roles and equipment gets reused and kind of like deployed in different ways, and things like time and cost become less important than patient triage and things like that. So I think the way you described it is really good, and I think this is where I think it's both, because a normal operating system, I don't know what the percentages would be, you guys can guess, but most of the time doesn't need a whole lot of adaptive capacity. I'm sorry, I put that out there as a hypothesis. Does a system, or a question, do you think a system sort of in steady state operations the majority of time, even a complex system, does it need much adaptive capacity?
The problem is you don't know when you're going to need it.
Yeah.
And again, I think we have some language for this too. If you're stockpiling your adaptive capacity, which would, like
Slack.
Slack has some really unfortunate connotations.
Yeah.
But we stopped saying margin, we started saying capability.
Yeah, I talk about redeployable resources.
Right, exactly. So if you're doing things that are dynamic, if you have the capacity, if you have the potential to do it, and it's cheap enough, it's not cheap, but it's cheap enough to deploy, to mobilize or generate, then I think you're going to be fine. If you're trying to do I need adaptive capacity? Well, no, but when it comes,
you do.
I'm going to.
No, but I might.
and I mean, like I don't get to become a different system in that moment, right? I'm the same system as I walk over this threshold and the perturbations occur. So
you need capacity. You just may not have to draw on it, right? I mean, I think that's.
And it has to be. So you have to be able to be efficient enough during normal operations so that the presence of that adaptive capacity isn't dragging you back. Because if it is, it's going to get lopped off. It's going to get taken. It's going to get hijacked by something else.
That's a beautiful ending, Mike, to the thought, which is it's going to get lopped off. We started the conversation with, I don't know, some sort of rigidity, and now we're talking about getting lopped off.
I think it was semi-rigid, Ben, and that idea that Ben didn't know he was going to be at a truck stop with so many dudes right now. So you just never know when that adaptive capacity needs to show up.
That's right. That's why I'm locked in the dog park here, trying to create a little bit of a barrier between me and chaos.
And I'm just excited because I'm in Houston and I get to use my safety thong joke, which always gets far
better Dave wants to do some cool
States.
stuff this week, by the way.
Your safety thong joke? Do I even want to know?
No, you don't. Well, all I'm going to say is, like, in Australia, a thong is a flip-flop. In the US, it's not a flip-flop.
It's a budgie smuggler.
It's very different.
When you talk about in a safety safety context, and it's a good story in the US. Goes really well.
It's fantastic.
I got to tell you, our episode with Todd, it went pretty long. I think we've just been more efficient at our solving in this one. Like, we really knocked it out.
What was the question? What was the topic?
Where am I? What am I doing? What?
Where am I?
Yeah.
I blacked out. I thought I was in a truck stop.
What's that question right now?
Who's that dude with the balaclava? Who's the dude with the balaclava on?
Yeah, no doubt.
No, in Texas. Wouldn't happen in Texas.
All right, I gotta jump in a minute here, boys.
Ron's got to practice with his other band.
That's it. Someone's got to pay the bills.
I'm trying to wrap it up for you, buddy. As trying to help out.
So who says the super smart pithy thing that when you like end it and then and then the big power chord comes in? Like
that was you.
That's you.
I thought that was you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me.
Like,
Oh, well,
if you're
just-
looking for one of us to do that, oh, buddy.
Wrong fucking podcast. Mike.
Yeah.
I think when you said lop it off, we pretty.
we'll just stop. We'll stop it there.
Yeah.
No, we're still going.
Yeah.
I think we have to at least claim to have solved adaptive capacity, though. So
Yeah, that's it. We solved it.
well done, boys.
We solved
It's
it.
good that
Publish it, Mike.
Good, Mike. You've been able to get the the handbrake out of the lab, so you guys can get on and do some important work.
Actually, right, like get the lead out. Actually, do some work for a change.
Stop sandbag.
Stop sandbagging.
Stop tanking. Stop
we'll-
tanking.
We'll get it. We'll get in there any day now.
Yep.
You'll see. You'll hear from us.
Awesome. Cool. Solved
All right,
it. Did we
boys.
solve it?
Perfect.
I think we solved it.
100%.
I
Solved.
think we crushed it. Punk rock
Capacity.
safety.
Check.
Check. Got it.
Nailed it. Episode 50. Bye.